Yep.
Hi, this is Graham Bonnet, and you're listening to the Nothing Shocking podcast.
We're putting the band back together.
The numbers all go to 11.
I'm talking about bands that rock. Led Zeppelin. What about Sabbath? AC/DC. Motorhead.
Does that mean it's louder? Isn't it any louder?
Well, it's one louder, isn't it?
We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
I get up off the ground and raise my head. Days like this, think I should be dead. One for Satan, two for me. Let's cheat the devil, it's fun, don't you agree?
Welcome to the Nothing Shocking podcast. I'm your co-host, Jeff Untied, and with me in Dogbowl Studios is
Coach Nez and
Steve Gibb.
You can find the Nothing Shocking podcast on our Libsyn page or any podcatchers. Like our Facebook page or follow us on Twitter at NoShockPod.
You can also find the Nothing Shocking podcast on Rock Rage Radio every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. Central Time. Our sponsor is Ragged Records, located in downtown Rock Island, Illinois, soon to be coming back to downtown Davenport, Iowa. We would like to thank the Hong Kong Sleepover for letting us use their music for our intro and bumper ending. Tonight's guest is
Graham Bonnet
of Alcatrazz,
Forcefield,
Rainbow,
Impertelli,
and the Graham Bonnet Band. And Michael Schenker.
We could keep going.
Without us going into any type of music news or what have you, Stephen Gibb here, his father, the great Barry Gibb, and Graham Bonnet are friends. They worked together in their early years. What can you tell us, Steve, about your dad's time working with Graham Bonnet? Can you shed us a little light?
Well, I can't. I honestly, I can't tell you much because I wasn't there. I mean, I think they've been friends since about 1968 or so. But whenever metal music of any kind comes up in conversation around my folks, all they can talk about is Graham Bonnet and how he's the sweetest guy in the world, and you love him. And to be quite honest, he's been a hero of mine for a very long time because I was a huge Alcatrazz fan as a kid. And still am today. I still listen to that stuff occasionally with great awe. And I always think like, man, I'd love to meet that guy. And apparently my dad and him have been friends forever. But I've yet to meet him. We're great Facebook friends, and he sent me a record, and he just seems like a super cool guy. And I'm a huge fan, and I have just a mountain of respect for his singing, songwriting, and just overall, musicality. And, I think the world of him. So, please tell Mr. Bonnet that, when he can get over to the States or over to Miami, rather, come pay us a visit. We'd all love to see him. I'd love to meet him. And I know my folks, just adore him. So, I just all I hear is how he's such a good time and just one of my dad's favorite people.
Awesome. And the cool thing about the interview was he had such glowing things to say about your family, your father. He even said, "Oh, Stephen Gibb, what a great guitar player! I need to meet that guy."
Yeah.
So it was a fantastic interview. He was very complimentary of you, your father, your family. So it was fantastic to have your interview so close to his interview. But let's not talk anymore. Let's get to this interview.
Okay, awesome, guys. Have a great night.
You too.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Later.
Graham, welcome to the Nothing Shocking podcast. I'd like you to introduce you to my co-host, Jeff Untied.
Graham, it's great to talk to you tonight.
Oh, thank you. It's good to talk to you too.
Well, first of all, I would like to thank Beth for all the correspondence. It's a real honor to have you on the podcast. So that being said, during this pandemic era of life, how have you been keeping yourself busy?
Have I been keeping myself busy, do you say?
Yes, sir.
How? Well, with all this stuff that's going on right now. Well, We're recording right now, well, not at this very moment, but we're recording an album, the GB Band, the Graham Bonnet Band album, and then we're going to go on to another album after that, which will be Alcatrazz. A new version of Alcatrazz, completely different personnel. So I think we've got a good band coming up. But right now we're recording, and I'm looking at my notebook as I speak to you. I'm making up some lyrics today for one of the songs. But we've got 11 songs for the album, and I think they're not bad. They're not bad. And so we've got a lot of, not a lot of guests, but we have some guests. I'll tell you one, and that's Don Airey from Rainbow or Deep Purple. So he's on the album. That's the only one I can tell you right now. But there are other people possibly coming up to give us a hand, which I'm very proud of, the people that we've been talking to.
Oh, fantastic.
But,
fantastic.
Yeah, besides, it's just not set yet, Yeah, I mean, it's going to be okay, but, you can't really say for definite what's going to happen in the next 24 hours, really.
Absolutely. And as you write new music for the Graham Bonnet Band, how does the writing process differ from past musical endeavors?
Well, I'm doing the same old thing I've always done. My style of writing hasn't changed. I've been writing the same way ever since the early days of Alcatrazz. And the songs won't change and the sound won't change that much. But I think what we have now is a much more modern sound, because we've got to remember where we are now. It's not 1982 or whatever. Things do change. Sound changes. Recording, especially, is much better now for vocals. For vocals, I should say more than anything, I've noticed with using new, equipment, that you get the real sound of the voice instead of a sort of a voice with a limiter on it. I've always had a problem with being sort of loud, and it never really captures my voice the way I sound in my head. So things are going really well with that, because we're using some really expensive microphones and blah, 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 etc. So it will sound more modern, especially the guitar and vocals, but the whole band altogether. And the songs will be modern. They're about current things and whatever, I always write about stuff that's real, and that isn't sort of, the Dungeons and Dragons kind of thing, or the Man on the Silver Mountain. I'm sorry to say, not so much fiction, more fact and scary things that are factual. Like I wrote a song a while back for Michael Schenker, which was about Alzheimer's, but nobody knew until they really read the lyrics, and they found out that I actually lost my brother and my dad to Alzheimer's, and I worry about it for myself, obviously. But, what about real things? Alzheimer's is very scary, not a dragon,
Absolutely.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I like being a reporter in a way, not like good ones sometimes, but, I like to change, events into a story that will fit into a song. That's kind of it.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Well, you've been a fantastic storyteller.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Back in 2018, I think was your last Graham Bonnet Band album. Meanwhile, Back in the Garage, it was titled.
Yeah.
I was listening to that today, and there was I was pleasantly surprised by a cover of "We Don't Need Another Hero."
Yeah, yeah. That was kind of out of the blue. Tina Turner was obviously the original. I went to see that movie years ago, and somebody said to me, that song, "We Don't Need Another Hero"? And I said, yeah, what about it? I remember coming out of the theater singing that in the parking lot, and a couple of guys I was with said, we should do that song. That was, when that film came out. Yeah. But it was hanging around, and somebody just happened to say, like, I don't know, when we were recording the album, have you that song, "We Don't Need Another Hero"? I said, yeah. And I started singing it. He said, that would be really good. And I thought, well, I can't do it better, or I'll make an attempt at singing that, but I don't like doing covers, because the original, to me, is always the best. No matter how good or bad the performance is, it's always the original recording that people remember, and not so much a cover version of that. You know what I mean? Yeah. It always brings back a memory to people who heard that song at that certain time in their lives. And making a cover version is great, but, I like to write my own songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic.
I think it turned out okay. I haven't really listened to that track.
I quite thoroughly enjoyed it today.
Oh, thank you. Oh, my God. Yeah, I can't listen to anything. You know, if I only listen to songs when we know we're going to go out and play. And at the moment, are we going to go out and play ever? You know, it's a bit of a strange world we're living in. You know, it's scary as hell. It really is. Yeah. And I can't wait to be doing something because I feel like I'm in jail like everybody else is. You know, it's a weird time.
Yes, definitely.
You know, that being said, COVID-19 or not, the use of technology in recording new material is ever so present in modern day recording. You know, as far as the Graham Bonnet Band, as they record their music, your music, that being said, what is your preference? Do you like to use the new technology, do it at home, do it in separate parts, and then the rest of the band, you know, they email or Dropbox it to you, or
that's pretty much it. It's all done by mail. You know, basically, but it's a good way of doing things because I think you can have it how it used to be. You know, recording at Cherokee in Los Angeles, it was so much money a day. You had to do it quickly or don't do it at all. You know, and if you couldn't pay the bill, you're fucked. You know, so it's great to do everything at home, but we don't do drums at home, obviously. Drums have to be done somewhere else. So everybody's doing their parts in their own homes, which is kind of weird, but we always write the songs together and then go home with the parts in our heads and then proceed to do what we have to do. So it's still... you know something? I still really enjoy being in the studio with people and saying, "What do you think about this? What do you think about it?" But it doesn't happen anymore, especially now. You know, it's to me, it's old school. But for me, it works better because you get the vibes from each person in the band. You know, and you feel something rather than just play something or listen to something.
You know, as you say that...
Does that make sense? I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. But as you say that, we've had different artists that have answered that question as far as preference of using new technology or getting into the studio the old way. I mean, outside of the expense, you know, the cost that it takes to go into the studio to make new music, you know, some artists would refer to as like, you know, it was fun and everything else, but we weren't always so productive. Do you feel like the productivity of doing it at home is a more... I guess maybe more productive way of doing things?
Either, you know, as I said, I do like the sort of feeling of being in a group, so to speak, in a band, which I've done in the past, obviously. We never did anything by mail back in 1908. We never did anything by mail then. As soon as everybody got computer savvy, then everybody was doing it. Everything, you know, writing plays online and blah 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 blah. So, but I like both ways. I like to do, you know, a rehearsal, and if we can do a rehearsal, make up some new songs, and then do our parts separately. You know, in your own home. That doesn't bother me. But I do like. Both ways are good to me. You know, they both work. You know, that's all I can say, really.
Well, fantastic. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah. I mean,
so you've been singing for 54 plus years. What do you do to keep your voice fresh?
I gargle with Drano. Yeah. it's my number one go-to. Anyway, and Bethany's here smiling at me. Yeah. She hasn't heard that one before, have you? No, okay. No, it's I don't look after my voice. That's one of my problems. I never sing when I'm not singing, performing, I should say. Yeah. But I do sing quietly to myself when I'm making up new tunes. But I've been very lucky. I did have a problem with my right vocal cord about 4 years ago or 5 years ago, whatever it was, and I went in for surgery to have it repaired. It was it kind of flattened out like a dead balloon, and they pumped cortisone into it, and that was years ago, as I said, and it brought back some of my power, you know, which was I kind of miss sometimes because when I gave the voice a bit of, you know, wally, a bit of bollocks, it would go, you know, the croak or something. But now it's okay. But I don't look after it very well at all. You know, I tend to sing very quietly at home, for instance. It's not giving it the full thingy. So, you know, I have to be very careful. When I'm on the road, I could lose it very easily if I don't watch it.
Yeah.
Well,
So you have to rehearse, really.
With that being said, let's kind of change gears on you just a bit here. Can you talk? Can you talk a little about Alcatrazz, this new version of Alcatrazz, the future plans? You know, Jeff and I have read different articles, clickbait articles, whether they're true or not. You know, the internet stuff is so full of malarkey. What can you tell us about this version of Alcatrazz?
So who do you want to say?
I cannot say his name.
Nobody's name.
You can.
I'm just getting some instruction here.
Yeah, that's okay.
Now, because contractually, you can't say, but you have a very.
Who's in Alcatrazz?
Yes.
Yeah, it's all kind of secret.
You have a security guitar player that is.
Yeah. We have an incredible guitar player. I can't mention names again. It's
that's okay.
That's why Bethany's chiming in. She just corrects me once in a while. I have no filter. I just keep on blah 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 blah. You know, I go on forever, and sometimes I forget who I should talk about and who I shouldn't talk about. But we have a brand new band that's really going to be amazing. I think. I hope of Alcatrazz. And it's something I'm looking forward to instead of working with those other guys I work with.
All right, well.
It came to a very nasty end. You know, I left the band. Our manager left the band left management, and he left handed in his resignation. And so when I saw that, I thought, oh, okay, well, I'll start over, do something else, you know. And I said, well, I wasn't very pleased with his management anyway. So I said to the guys that were left, I said, well, what are you going to do? I said, I don't want to work with him anymore. And they said, oh, we can't work with anybody else but him. So I decided it was time for me to leave too. So that's why I'm doing the Graham Bonnet thing right now. But we have a brand new Alcatrazz coming up with me singing, of course, and writing the songs, of course, but the new lineup. Does that make sense? I hope so.
It totally makes sense. Yeah. So
I think it's time for a song.
Let's like switch gears on you totally here. 2016, you were involved with Michael Schenker with Michael Schenker Fest, along with Robin McCauley and Doogie White.
Yeah.
Was that just like a one-off project, or is that something that's going to be a reoccurring thing? How's that going to work out?
Well, we were supposed to do something else this year, but of course, you know what happened, this virus thing. I mean, last year, the end of last year, I think it was. But that's we've done a lot of shows together all over the place, all over the world, with the Michael Schenker group thing. And I was looking forward to doing it again with Robin and Doogie and Gary and Michael, obviously, and everybody else, because it was a damn good band, and it was fun to sing the songs we each singer recorded on separate albums, obviously, but I was one of the singers who was lucky enough to play on a Michael Schenker album. And now I've been on 3 of them, I think.
Oh, fantastic.
So, I mean, to sing with Michael is always a great pleasure. He's so damn good, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's the dog.
The
dog wants to join in. It's not just better for me. It's the dog's telling me what to do. I'm sorry. I'm great at interviews, aren't I? I'm fantastic.
Oh, this is good.
But anyway, to actually play with Michael is a joy, because I had a terrible time when I was in the first Michael Schenker group version. The first time I played with him, it was a story I think everybody knows, and I screwed up on stage, and there you go. But now he's all happy with me, and we get on very well. Yep.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to take the next one. In the past 15 years, you collaborated with Dario Malo with Electric Zoo in 2004, and then 2017 at Izu. How did the opportunity come about with you to work with Dario? How I'm a big fan of his and everything that he's been involved with, him and Tony Martin, etc. How did it work out for you?
Oh, that was because of Don Airy. Mm-hmm. He introduced me to him, and I think I was in England at the time. Yeah, I was doing a show with Don Airy in Don's village. He has this show every year, and it was for about 900 people in a big marquee tent. And Dario came to the show, and John said to me, "This guy's a great player." So blah 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 blah. We talked a lot. And then eventually, me, Don, and Dario went out as a band. The Bonnet and, it wasn't called the Molo Band. It was it was called the Bonnet Airy Band, and we went out with Dario playing. Then later on, I did go out with Dario without Don Airy, so it was then the Molo and Bonnet Band, So I played with him quite a lot all over the place. He's a really good guitar player and a very good songwriter, and it's Don Airy's fault that I was connected to Dario. The bastard.
Well, the two albums that you collaborated with Dario on were absolutely fantastic. Was it one of those kind of things that happened between the two of you? We're like, hey, we're gonna try one album and then we're gonna see how it goes, and then wait a period of time to record another one, or was it always in the works that, hey, we're gonna kind of keep this going throughout the years, off and on, and I guess maybe with big gaps in between?
Yeah, it was sort of a one-off thing because Dario had his own thing going apart from making albums. He had a band in Italy, and he had his own thing going for him. It was going to be just a one-off, but there was a return. We did another one, so it wasn't bad. I don't mind doing that at all. It was great. Yeah,
fantastic. In 1989, you collaborated with Cozy Powell and Ray Fenwick on Force Field, To Oz and Back, and Let the Wild One Run Free. Tony Martin was the lead singer for the first two albums. You took over for the next two after that, the third and fourth album. Can you talk a little bit more about your time during that project?
Well, that was just a studio project with the other people too, the other people that were on the earlier albums. It was totally studio, and that was about all, because Cozy was playing with, God, I don't know who he was playing with then, probably Whitesnake or something, or David Lee Roth. No, not David Lee Roth. I think it was with Whitesnake, I don't remember. But it was just studio, non-existent band. We never played live. We just made albums. That was about it. And other people wrote songs for the album. So we had lots of good writers like Denny Lane and, oh God, who else? I think Russ Ballard wrote one. I'm not quite sure. But a lot of outside writers, and then we didn't really do much of our own. Maybe one or two on those tracks, on those albums. But it was more or less a project, as such, but never a live band.
Was there any type of plans to keep that going? God help with it.
No, it fizzled out. Eventually we found out nobody's really interested. So all right then, never mind. Let's try something else. Yeah, because everybody played with Ray Fenwick was with Spencer Davis, and Cozy was whatever he was doing. Cozy was in so many bloody bands after Rainbow, I can't keep up with it. But everybody's doing something else. So it didn't come to any fruition as it may have done had we not been working with other people.
Yeah. I have one more question to ask you, and then we're going to let you go for the night. But it just so happened that we had Stephen Gibb on, Barry Gibb's son, last week. And he was a fantastic interview last week. But maybe some of our listeners and our audience don't know of your direct relationship with the Bee Gees. Yep. Can you talk a little bit more of your relationship with the Bee Gees and Barry Gibb?
Yeah. I know Stephen's a big Yngwie Malmsteen fan, so I'm sort of in with him. I've never met Stephen, but I was introduced to the Bee Gees back in 1968 by my cousin. My cousin Trevor Gordon was guitar player in the Bee Gees when he lived in Australia. I was living in London, and Trevor was living in London. We got together, and Trevor went over to see Barry and the Gibb brothers. Went to their house, and they were talking and talking. They wanted to do some work with Trevor again, making songs for him and playing with him. And Trevor just happened to say, well, my cousin sings also. And so I was invited over to Barry's place, and Robin and Morris are there, and we sat down with acoustic guitars and started singing Stevie Wonder songs and Beach Boys and Beatles and whatever you like, R&B stuff. Mm-hmm. It was fantastic, one of the most fantastic nights I've ever had singing with those guys. It was just magical, the harmony. And Well, and we got a song. Barry wrote a song for us. Well, the way that happened was we were all singing away there at Barry's place, and Robert Stigwood, the manager, came in and said, "Do you have a song for these boys, Barry?" And that was kind of the beginning of the Marbles, which was what we were called. Unfortunately, I hated that name, but we had a hit record or two in the UK and on the in Europe. But the songs were never released here for some reason, and I could never understand why, because it was like the British invasion was going on, with Peter Gordon as a duo. We were a duo. Trevor Gordon and I were a duo, and we were called the Marbles, which was Barry's idea of a name. I remember Robert Stigwood said to Barry, no, what about Gravy Train? No, that won't do. I think the Marbles. Okay, the Marbles. So Barry wrote this song for us called Only One Woman, and it went to number 3 in the charts in England and number 1 in other parts of the world, but not here, which is a sort of a surprise to me because of what was going on with the so-called British invasion. And when we play that now. We still play that song now. And when people hear it, they say, "What is that song, that ballad?" And I have to explain to them like I'm explaining to you. It's kind of a long-winded explanation because it just happened by a pure fluke that we were asked over to Barry's place.
Nice.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, that concludes the end of the questions that we had for you tonight. We want to thank you so much for your participation.
Thank you so much.
And this is how it's going to work. We have a couple interviews to release before yours, and so it's going to be about 2.5 weeks. And then when Jeff has everything edited for you, we'll send it to you and Beth immediately so you guys can have it and share it on your socials or whatever. But when we do the intro to your interview, I want to let you know Stephen Gibb is going to join us for this intro.
That'd be fantastic.
So, because
please say hello to him from me. I've never met him, and I know that he's a great guitar player. And I haven't spoken to his dad for years. Can you tell him that too? Little bugger. Yeah, Barry is so busy. I feel we went to see him. How long ago is it now, Bethany?
It's been a few years. It was probably 4 years ago.
Yeah, about 4 years ago. We saw it. What was it?
I think it was the Hollywood Bowl.
Yeah, I think it was. I always get mixed up with that and the other place.
The Greek? Yeah.
We went to see Barry at the Hollywood Bowl, and it was a fantastic show. I mean, Barry, he's got a great voice. Those songs he writes, my God, he can write for anybody. Yeah. It's a bit like Ross Ballard, I think. He's one of those guys. But I love his voice, always have. I haven't spoken to him for years because his tour manager always says Barry is not very up to date with stuff. He's not Mr. Technology, and neither am I. And all his business is done usually by his tour manager, I should say. So I remember Barry's wife saying to me once on the phone, "Oh, Barry still uses a Rolodex." I said, what the fuck is that? a Rolodex. Yeah, but now he's on Facebook now, so I don't know who's doing it for him, but it's not very, technically minded like I'm not. It's old school.
Yeah.
But bless his heart, please say to Stephen, I'd love to have met Stephen, but I've never gotten across to Barry's house in Miami.
Well,
which I hope to do one day.
It's kind of ironic. Last week, Stephen was on to help promote the new Greenfields album that Barry had put out.
Yeah,
Stephen,
that's all. Is it all sort of guest people doing Barry's songs?
Yeah, like country duets.
Yeah, country duets.
Yeah. Because I remember my cousin saying to me, that Barry's really a country guy. That's what he really wants to do. He loves cowboy music, and this was back in '68. And now he's got his dream come true. Yeah. Now he's doing what he wants, with great country singers.
Absolutely. And the crazy thing about it was, Stephen was such a great guest, and then I had talked to him after the interview, and I said, "Hey, if you ever want to come on with some interview, some intros from interviews with us, please do." And he said, "You got Graham Bonnet coming on? I want to be a part of that. My dad's good friends with him." So yeah, he was excited. He was really excited to.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yes.
As I said, when you speak to Stephen again, just say thank you for that. That's a nice little comment, and tell him his dad to talk to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm only joking. Barry's is a great friend, but he's not Mr. It doesn't pick up the phone very much.
Hey,
a bit like me.
Yeah. Thank you so much,
Awesome.
Graham.
Thank you so much.
We will be in touch in 2 weeks.
Okay, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a great night.
All right, well, you too.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Be safe.
You too. Bye-bye.